We are almost done unpacking our leadership acronym. We have gone over the L, we've gone over the E, we've gone over the A and the D. If you remember, the D was dreamer, and we have the E and the R left that we will cover in this short time together. Since we only have two of those letters left to cover, it won't be as long as some of the other videos. So hopefully that will make you happy. It won't be a marathon. So with our two other letters left, the first one, the E, is excellence. Excellence derives from the word excel, which means to go beyond average. Leaders do not do for themselves. Leaders are those who are interested in not just remaining at an average level. They are individuals who always excel or always press on for what's better. They are not okay with things the way they are or the way that we've always done them. They're not okay with the successes of last night or of yesterday or of last month, or even they're not okay with just having the successes of today, because they're always looking for excellence and always asking the question, how can I make what I'm involved in even better than it is? And if we ever plateau in our lives in certain areas where we believe that we have become the master of a certain area that we're in, maybe a trade that we do or our job, that we can't learn anymore, that we can't achieve a greater level of excellence and quality, then we have just put a lid on our leadership. We've decided that we've reached the max and that we have done the best that we can, and oftentimes people can get very comfortable where they're at. I've been there, I have the t-shirt, and so they kind of lose the drive to wonder, is there another level that I'm not getting to? Is there a greater place? And so I think, as our youth ministry, we have very practical goals. We'd like to see 100 kids be a part of our ministry. We'd like to see 200, 300, and is it okay for us to say that we reach 100 and we're doing everything well, and we have all these ministries that are active, and we have students leading the ministry, and we have our worship team that's going, and they're healthy, and they're just tearing it up with worship, and our students are diving in? Are we okay just to kind of sit back and say, well, we've achieved excellence in all these areas, and we can just kind of rest in that? And I think that excellence is a goal that you're always going after. Sure, you reach it, you can do things with excellence, but the question is, is that happening for all of our ministries? And even when we have reached a level where we say, man, this is running really well, it's running great, the question is, can it get any better? Just a small tweak or a small adjustment or a small change, always looking to go beyond average. The idea that we live in, the idea that we carry with us in today's world is that all you have to do is the minimum effort. I remember we were at a Christmas party, and my wife, I think it was one of her cousins, and we were talking to him and talking about what he's doing, and he was either in high school or just graduated. I think he was still in high school, maybe his last year, and we asked him, so what are you doing? You working? He said, oh yeah, he said, I work at McDonald's. We're like, cool, man. How's that going? He's like, oh man, I love it. I get paid to stand around and do nothing. And that really kind of speaks for a lot of what is spreading in today's world, especially the younger generation. Just put forth the minimum effort required to get the job done, and that is not the attitude of a person who wants to lead and to be a leader. And so the idea in today's world is minimum effort for maximum expectation. And there is this principle called the Rebecca principle, and that principle says that we put forth maximum effort for minimum expectation. So the idea is that, the expectation may be low. The expectation may not necessarily be high, but we're always putting in maximum effort. And so, for example, maybe your task one week is just to set up the youth room. That's not a real high expectation. Maybe you have to set up chairs. Maybe you have to do something that you see that has low expectation, or isn't really important in the grand scheme of things, but you dive in there and you excel at it, man. You set those chairs up like nobody has set chairs up ever before. You get items arranged on the stage, or you're doing a game and you're going through that, or you're cleaning up, and you excel at those things. You do them the best you can, even if, on the other hand, there is minimum expectation. Part of this Rebecca principle teaches us that we are not to live our lives as a legalist. Not to live our lives as a legalist. We cannot walk the second mile until we have walked the first. And extra blessings are a result of extra effort. So we have to understand that to achieve excellence is like it's the top rung of the ladder. You're not going to get to the top of the ladder if you haven't taken the first step. And so the reality is that excellence comes after a lot of hard work. Excellence comes after we as a team, or maybe you as an individual at your work or in your marriage, or with anything that you put your hand to. Maybe you have a side skill or a trade or a hobby. Maybe you have some personal goals and you want to achieve excellence in those, but you've had a couple times where you slipped. You had a couple times where you just tried something and it bombed, it tanked, and the reality is that sometimes along the way you're going to try a certain approach. We're going to have an event. We're going to have a Wednesday night service, and those things can be flops. But all of those are rungs in the ladder that we use to step to the next rung. So you do something one way and you find out that it didn't work, or we try something and we believe that it's going to achieve this level of excellence and it doesn't work. And that's okay, because we learn from those, and we understand that to reach mile 2, we have to go through mile 1. To take step 2, we have to take step 1. So I want to encourage you with those. And the extra blessings that come in our life sometimes are the result of extra effort. I love Mark Batterson coming out of NCC. He says that we pray like it depends on God, but we work like it depends on us. And so we put in extra effort. And the reality is that as we put in extra effort at our job, we put in extra effort with our kids and our spouse, we put in extra effort with whatever it is, the goal that we're achieving. Maybe you want to trim off some pounds, and it takes extra effort. I really don't have that much time to go to the gym, but whenever I do, it's after we lay Harrison down at like 9:30. So I got to get my butt up, got to get clothes on, get to the gym, and I'm not getting home till late. But I feel great, and the reality is that extra blessings sometimes are connected to extra effort. So you make that extra effort. We put in that extra little bit. You press on, and whatever it is, and we're going to see the results of those extra efforts. Zig Ziglar says there's no traffic jam on the extra mile. There's no traffic jam on the extra mile, which is interesting because the reality is that not a lot of people go the extra mile. So there's no traffic jam on the extra mile. John just kind of asked us here to read the following standards, and I'll read them for you. And to ask yourself, is your leadership characterized by these statements? These principles can help us concentrate on going the extra mile and upholding our integrity in order to excel. I will live what I teach. Does that characterize my leadership? Do I live what I teach? What about you? I will do what I say. Does that characterize our leadership? I will be honest with others. Are we honest with others even though it may be difficult to say what it is that we have to say? Are we honest with maybe another team member that maybe hurt us, or they said something to us and rubbed us the wrong way? Are we honest with them? I will put what is best for others ahead of what is best for me. And we have to realize that in terms of the student ministry, that the students and what's best for them is more important than us being able to be in the limelight. If there is a decision that is to be made, and that decision involves you or I not being part of maybe an event we wanted to do, or maybe there is something important that needs to be communicated. You really wanted to share it, but this other person is better to share it. Then the reality is we have to do what's best for the students, whether that involves us or not. Or we really had our heart on doing this thing, but it really wasn't best for the students, and so we didn't do your thing. And so the reality is we have to remember that. Maybe in your workplace, you do what is best for others, those around you. Maybe you do something and it gives all the attention, or it gives all of the credit to other people, and you don't receive any of that. But the reality is that you just did something that was good for the company or good for these other people. You just blessed them, but the spotlight didn't shine on you. Often you can feel, well, maybe I got the shaft. But the reality is that if our leadership is going to be godly, and if it's going to be one that has integrity, then we don't do things so that the light turns on us. Now, there are times that God, He puts a spotlight on us and He rewards us, but God will often reward you in public for what you do in private. A lot of people are looking to be seen and known in public. They're looking for all the accolades, they're looking for all that stuff, but they're not putting the time in private. Remember, Jesus says when you give, make sure that your left hand doesn't know what your right hand is giving. And the idea, when you pray, don't pray out in the street corner with all these big words and pray long and loud so everybody can hear and say, oh, look at how spiritual they are. The reality is that we do things not for us all the time. We do things in the hidden. We do things in the secret. We do things that other people may get accolades for, may get credit for, but God rewards us publicly for what we do in private. I will be transparent. I'll be transparent. Are we transparent as leaders? And that's important. Remember, there are two paths that people can take in life. They can either they can either play now and pay later, or they can pay now and play later. They can either play now and pay later, or pay now and play later. So the reality is, are we going to play now? Are we going to take this lightly? Are you going to take lightly whatever you're doing at your job? Oftentimes people will say, well, Pastor Kevin, Pastor Roberts, or whoever, I haven't received a pay raise in years, and everybody seems to get pay raises around me, or they'll get promoted to the next level, and in return I would ask them, well, what are you doing? Are you staying late sometimes if you have to? Are you doing what the boss tells you, even though it doesn't come maybe in your job description? Do you have a good attitude? Are you an encouragement to other employees? Or are you just kind of there to collect a paycheck? Because there's no reason that anybody should get a raise or should be promoted if they're just there to get a paycheck. And so we can either play now in our student ministry. We can just kind of do what we have to and just kind of keep the ball rolling and pay for it later. Or we can pay now. We can put our hand to the plow. We can do the hard work. We can plant in students' lives. We can pray more. We can maybe stay a little longer, have more meetings, pay the price now, and then pay for it later in terms of having more students come to our youth ministry and seeing the overall anticipation in the students about being on Wednesday nights, about being to these events. and having students come out and paying for the events. And I know that that if we do quality events, that students won't have a problem paying. So we can play now and pay later, or pay now and play later. Regardless of the choice you make, one thing is certain: life will demand a payment. So life will demand a payment. If I do my best at this present moment, that puts me in the best place for the next moment. Oprah said that. Doing my best at this present moment puts me in the best place for the next moment. Leaders never make decisions based on their personal gain. Excellent leaders do it because it's right, not because they gain. So it's not about you and I. So let's stop a minute and see how we're doing with this. Let's ask ourselves these questions. Can we truly say that we make leadership decisions so that all involved somehow receive a benefit? Do you and I make decisions as leaders so that everybody involved can somehow benefit? How often do we go the extra mile? And when we do, with what expectations? So, coming back to this minimum effort, maximum expectation principle, do we put in minimum effort but expect back the largest return possible? My wife's cousin who works at McDonald's, he just wants to stand around and stand by the register and say, "What's up, man? You want that biggie size or whatever?" Just kind of do as little as possible. Show up. Maybe his shirt's hanging out. Maybe he's got something hanging from his nose, and he's there, and he's just like, "What's up, man?" And he's there, and he wants to collect his paycheck. And the reality is that that's not going to happen. You put minimum effort into things, you will get minimum results. A lot of people today want an overnight weight loss. They want a get rich quick. They want their life to be transformed overnight. They want kind of this easy Mac approach where I just put in minimum effort, just add some water, pop it in the microwave, and I have this really scrumptious meal. And I just do one or two things. I just click this. I just order this pill in the mail, and life is great. And the reality is that's not how life works. You and I know that. And in terms of leaders, that's not an excellent leader. One who doesn't go the extra mile, but just does what is required of them at the very bare minimum level, but expects maximum output or blessing. We can't just do the bare minimum in student leadership and just offer blah. We can't just offer blah and expect that the students are going to be excited, that they're going to come out, because the reality is that we're competing with students' time, we're competing with homework, we're competing with sports, and so it requires us to have something for them, and they require our very best. They require our very best, excellent service that we can offer them when they come. So after answering these questions, what needs to change in our approach to going the extra mile and expectations? Hopefully we all would agree that we need to become leaders, if we are not already, that are ones who go the extra mile. And if we are going the extra mile, we need to continue to do that. Okay, so that's the E, excellent. So here's what we've covered so far. Leader, what is a leader? L, leader. E, equiper. A, attitude. D, dreamer. E, excellence. And R, relationships. You can't lead them if you don't love them. That's what John says here. You can't lead them if you don't love them. There was a survey done as to why customers quit. Why customers quit. 1% is because they die. 3% is because they move away. 5% is other friendships. 9% is competition. 14% is they are unhappy with the product. 68% is the attitude of indifference toward the customer. So, for example, a company, how they treat their customers, 68% of customers quit on companies or on a product because of the attitude of indifference toward the customer. Isn't that true? Sometimes you've bought a product and you bought it from a company that you've always bought things from. You have everything from this company, so you bought this new thing, and the product doesn't work. You get a bad one. That won't keep everybody from just going back and asking for a replacement because you believe in the quality of the product. But have you ever gone somewhere, place you've always gone? Have you ever gone and bought an item you've always bought, or you've always gone with that brand, and the customer service was bad? They treated you wrong. They refused to take back the product. Maybe you had a receipt, or you've gone to a restaurant. This is a big one. You've always eaten at the restaurant. You've always gone. You go on a regular basis. Maybe you even know some people who work there on a personal name basis, but you receive bad service. Oof, that's the worst. Sometimes it takes forever to get the desire within you to go back to that place because you were just treated wrong. Your food came out cold. Nobody seemed to care. The waiter or waitress would be gone for 20 minutes at a time and never check on you. 68% of customers quit because of the indifference because of the attitude of indifference toward the customer. So for you and I, the question is, in our student ministry, what is our attitude toward our customers or our students? Not that we're providing a service like we work in retail or the restaurant business, but they're coming every week, and if they come and maybe they come for 3-4 weeks and they stop coming, why have they stopped coming? Sometimes maybe it's drama between the students. Sometimes they're not treated right. Sometimes they come and nobody says hi to them. But as leaders, what is our attitude towards them? If we're indifferent towards them, then they may, in essence, as our customers, they may not come back. So we need to make sure. You may have heard it said that people don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. Successful teachers, writers, managers, politicians, and leaders who deal with people instinctively know this principle. Every person in the world is hungry for something, be it recognition or compassion or understanding or love. Every single person in the world is hungry for something. One common item on people's list of needs is the desire to feel worthwhile. As a leader, you can develop solid relationships by helping a person become useful and find satisfaction and significance. Napoleon Bonaparte knew every officer in his army by name. He liked to wander through his camp, meet an officer, greet him by name, and talk about a battle or maneuver he knew this officer had been involved in. He never missed an opportunity to inquire about a soldier's hometown, his wife, and his kids if he had some. The men were always amazed to see how much detailed personal information about each one the emperor was able to store in his memory. Since every officer felt Napoleon's personal interest in him, proven by his statements and questions, it's easy to understand the devotion they felt for him. What about us? It takes a while to learn students' names, but once we know them, do we address them by name? Do we try and remember? Oh, that's right. You go to this school. Oh yeah, how's your mom and dad doing? Oh yeah, you were with this friend, right? Oh, you brought this friend last week, right? Oh, you like this game. Oh, you love to eat at this place. Like just remembering as much. What is our attitude towards them? Do we care if we remember their name? Do we care if we're able to store personal information about them? It's incredible when you think that Napoleon knew the name of every single person in his army. If you're going to lead them, you have to love them. Loving and leading go hand in hand. Meaningful relationships are real relationships. So the following question will help us to reflect on the area of relationships. Think of people you've spent at least a half an hour with this week. Did you initiate the time, or did they? Were the meetings for the purpose of relationship, counseling, communication, or development? Do you seek to impress people by keeping a distance, or do you try to impact them by getting to know them personally? An old Chinese poem has some of the best advice that you can find about developing relationships. Go to the people, live among them, learn from them, love them. Start with what they know, build on what they have. But of the best leaders, when their task is accomplished, their work is done, the people will remark, we have done it ourselves. So I hope that you're blessed with this leader acronym as we sought to go through this, and just recapping it real quick. What is a leader? What does it involve? 1, it involves being a leader, leading. 2, it involves equipping, being an equipper. 3, it involves attitude, have the right attitude. 4, it involves being a dreamer, dream. 5, it involves excellence, do things with excellence. Lastly, it involves relationships. Let's make sure that our relationships with our students are ones that are meaningful, because meaningful relationships are real relationships. Praying for you guys, and we'll look forward after the new year here to continue our look into this study by John Maxwell about developing the leader within us. And my prayer is to move after this to developing the leaders around you. So we develop ourselves, and then we can develop those around us. Hope this is a blessing to you. Love you guys. Want to encourage you. You're the greatest team out there, and it's an honor and privilege to serve you. So hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and blessings be upon you.